Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I have another meal prep for you. This is my first week back on a WW for the month of March. I am giving myself a little challenge. I'm going to try out the new WW program, see how it works for me. I will talk more about that throughout the week in my what I ate video, what I ate this week video. So stay tuned for that. That'll be posted on Thursday or Friday, probably Friday. So stay tuned for that. I gave myself 90 minutes from start to finish. So that's getting everything out, getting my meal prep done, and getting cleaned up. That's all I had today with the way my day went. So I did not get everything done, but I got the bulk of it. I got my 2 lunches, a breakfast, maybe. We'll see if it turns out. I prepped some fruit. For me, getting the fruit prepped is more important because otherwise I won't eat it and it'll go bad. Veggies, I can always prep those during the week when I'm making dinner and whatnot. For one of my lunches this week, I'm going to make Hawaiian Pizza Chicken. I've made this before. It's really good. I have some thin sliced chicken breasts here. I have some red pepper flakes, some Italian herbs, and some salt and pepper. So that's all going to go on the chicken. We also have some of the Simple Truth organic pizza sauce. I am not a pizza sauce fan, but I really, really like this one. We have some pineapple slices. Now, I'm not going to count any points for this. I don't know if it does if you scan it, because I will rinse off all of that pineapple juice. I have some grated Parmesan cheese. We have some Canadian bacon, and then we have some mozzarella. I prefer the reduced fat, but my store only had the fat-free mozzarella, so we'll go with it. We'll see how it goes on that. So first thing we got to do is we're going to season our chicken. So I'm just going to sprinkle some Italian herbs on one side. Also going to put on some salt and pepper, of course, and then we'll flip it over and we'll just season up both sides. I like to make sure we have different layers of seasoning. You guys know I always say season every single layer because otherwise you're not going to have enough flavor as you get into each layer of your meal. And so I just really highly recommend you do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get all the side seasoning and we'll move on to the next step. I have a baking dish here that I did spray with cooking spray. I'm going to use a 1/4 cup of sauce on each of the chicken breasts, and we'll just kind of smooth it out a little bit. I can't find my 1/4 cup measuring cup. No idea where it's at. So I'm just putting a little bit in my 1/3 cup. So didn't measure it out exactly, but you'll know. And so then we're just going to kind of spread it out all over the chicken breast. This is a really good low-carb meal, obviously, as well. I did it when I was on keto, so definitely an easy low-carb meal if you're trying to stay kind of low-carb, which you guys know I try to have one low-carb meal a day. Then we have our fat-free mozzarella here. We're going to use a 1/4 cup total for this. So what I did was I put 1/8 cup on each of the breasts, and then we're going to put the other 1/8 cup on top. So then I'm going to put 2 slices of the Canadian bacon. A serving of this is 4 slices, and it's for me, it's 1 personal point, I guess is what they're calling them. For that, I guess all of our points could be similar to different. I'm not sure. I'm still getting used to the program. So I will put on the screen my personal points when I put them into the tracker. I do, of course, get, the fruits and veggies and all that free. So then I'm going to put 2 slices, or 1 slice cut in half of the pineapple. Then I put that other 1/8 cup of cheese on top of that. And then this is going to go into a 425-degree oven for 25 minutes. And this is what you're going to get, or until your chicken's done. Obviously, if your chicken breasts are thicker, it may take a little bit longer. And then I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of Parmesan cheese on top. I would say I probably used a teaspoon of this on top. And then we're going to put the red pepper flakes on top of that. And you guys, I tell you, this smells so, so, so good. The recipe I'm going to link down below. Did it a little bit different order because I messed up. You're supposed to cook the chicken first, put the toppings in, cook the chicken the rest of the way through. I forgot. So anywho, then we're going to add on some broccoli there. So this will be one of my lunches. Lots of broccoli. I did a cup of broccoli, and then we have that chicken. So, so good. Again, I'll put on the screen here the calories and my personal points for this. I will still be tracking calories during this month. Again, I'll talk more about that throughout this whole next week. This next recipe, I don't know if it's going to turn out. It did not turn out the way it was supposed to. So I have this oat milk. I'm going to try this. I was going to use cashew milk. I used the oat milk. Never tried it before. It's really super creamy, I'll tell you that. Chia seeds, we have some strawberry puree here. It's simply just strawberries, frozen strawberries that I put into the blender and blended it up. I have some of the harmless honey, and then I have some vanilla extract. So in my little bowl here, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of the chia seeds and a half of a cup of the oat milk. We're going to do a half of a teaspoon of the pure harmless honey, and then a teaspoon of the vanilla, which of course I, kind of messed up. Oh, I'm sorry, it was a teaspoon of the honey. You can also use maple syrup. You can use whatever you want. This is just kind of as the sweetener for this. And then you're going to whisk it up. And in the recipe, it says let it sit for 10 minutes and it'll be kind of thickened. Stir again, let it sit a little bit longer, and then spoon it on top of your puree. Mine looked nothing like in the recipe. Y'all, look at this. This is crazy. I seriously let it sit for a really long time and it still did not thicken up. So we'll see what happens in the refrigerator. Hopefully this thickens up. If not, I have plenty of breakfast options. So stay tuned for next week and you'll see if it turned out or not. The other lunch I'm going to have this week is going to be chicken fried rice, cauliflower rice. I have some peas and carrots, some green onions. We have some garlic powder, coconut aminos. I like to use this instead of soy sauce. I have some cut green beans. The original recipe I will link down below does not call for green beans, but I love to have green beans in my fried rice. Sesame oil, some chicken, just diced up chicken, and then some chopped onions. And I have this rice cauliflower, but then in my freezer, I forgot that I had this broccoli, cauliflower, and carrot veggie blend that's all riced up. Very curious about this, so I thought I would just use that for lots of veggies. Now the chicken, I just simply cooked it in some cooking spray in a pan and just got it brown on all sides. And then I just used that same pan. Why dirty up another pan? So I used the same pan for the veggies. So I did add some onion salt onto the chicken. I love this onion salt. This is the last one I have. I'm going to have to make a trip up to Trader Joe's. You guys know it's not in the same town I live in, so it is kind of a trip to take. So in my pan here, I have the green beans. I have 1.5 cups of the peas and carrots, a cup of the onions, and about a half of the can of the green beans. Again, I just used the same pan, and I did put in 1 tablespoon of sesame oil. That is completely optional if you don't want to use it. It does add on more calories and also adds on points, but I personally love the flavor of sesame oil, and I recommend not leaving it out. The original recipe, which will be linked down below, calls for 2 tablespoons of the sesame oil, but you definitely don't need 2 tablespoons if you want to cut down on the calories. I just used 1 tablespoon. I'm also adding salt and pepper to this as well, just a little bit of that, and I'm going to stir this up. And then one thing I did not show you when I showed you all the ingredients was this also needs 2 eggs. Sometimes I don't put the eggs in there, but I do want to get a little bit of extra protein in this, so I'm going to go ahead and add the eggs in this time. But they're totally just as good without the eggs, but this time I just wanted to add in, like I said, I wanted to get that extra protein. So I'm just going to put 2 eggs kind of in the center here. You can do it however you want. I always just kind of make a little hole there in the center and then just scramble them up. And you want to just make sure they get all cooked through. So I usually just kind of scramble them up and kind of try to get it as cooked all the way through here, kind of in the center, before I mix it around to the whole entire thing. Again, I usually don't do this, but it tasted just fine. I don't know. Sometimes I just don't like the taste of like reheated eggs when they're like this, but this actually turned out pretty well. So anyway, go ahead and move that all around, and then we're going to add in some garlic powder. So I do like to add this in when I add in the rest of the cauliflower rice and all that. So I'm just going to add in a little bit of this, probably about a teaspoon or so, whatever you desire for your garlic powder. And then we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of the coconut aminos. I believe the recipe I'm linking down below does call for coconut aminos, but a lot of the recipes for this type of thing will call for soy sauce. I just prefer coconut aminos versus soy sauce, just a personal opinion. It is a little bit more expensive than soy sauce, but you don't use a whole lot, so it lasts for a long time in your pantry. If you're like mine, you only use it once in a while. Then we're going to add in the cauliflower rice. So I am also doubling the amount of cauliflower rice that the original recipe calls for, just because I like to bulk up the veggies in this recipe. And so I'm using 2 bags. I believe the recipe that's linked down below will have, we'll say 10 ounces, but I use 2 10-ounce bags. Again, just a personal preference. And then I'm adding in that chicken. This is also a really good recipe for rotisserie chicken, or if you have some of that Tyson grilled and ready strips type of thing, that's another good way to use that up in this type of recipe. Now I get a lot of questions all the time. How do you measure out how many grams, and like how do you make sure you're getting the right amount, especially if you're tracking? So I personally, this is how I do it. I just put a bowl on my scale and I measure it in grams. So I'm just going to weigh out this entire batch, and I'm going to do 5 servings. I believe the recipe is for 6 servings, but when I put it into my tracker, I did 5 servings just because I wanted to have kind of a bigger amount of servings so I could have that extra protein and have the extra veggies and stuff for the day. And this is going to be for my lunch, so I wanted to make sure it was enough for me to have, to keep me full, until dinner time. So I just went ahead and weigh all this out, and then I'll divide that by 5, and then we will then I'll put each of my containers on there, and I'll weigh out whatever the 5 was, which I think was like 267 grams after everything was all said and done. Now I added on some sriracha on top, and then also some green onions. Another good thing that's good on this is like the sriracha mayo. I cannot find that in my town. So I'm just using sriracha, just put a little bit of that on top with the green onions, but that's totally optional. If you're not a sriracha person, leave that out. But it tastes amazing. The other thing that I made today, I made some turkey bacon, just put it in the oven, and then I also prepped my fruit. So I have some grapes and some strawberries that I wanted to get cleaned up. Like I said, the only thing I did not get done were the carrots and celery that I wanted to get chopped up, but that's okay. And that is everything, you guys. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch my videos. Check out the description box. I will have all the recipes linked down below. And stay tuned this next week, and you'll see how I do on my first week of WW. Bye, guys.